I heard your company is pulling out. Your salary has been dropping these past 3 months. So it's getting serious.
Yeah, about that. There's something I wanted to discuss regarding that issue. I should have talked to you sooner, but, recently with the way you've been, I just found it really hard to bring up.
Discussion. You're just going to tell me to get a job because your company's going under, right?
What? The company's going under? Well, that's basically it. But that's not what I wanted to talk about.
What's this? Are you finally kicking her out?
Yeah. I told you before. Right. Her company's about to go under. Seems like it's actually happening. Her dad's the boss. So I put up with her being not so good looking and married her. But this is just too much.
Sure, it's cool to grow up overseas and be a career woman, but that face doesn't help. If only she were beautiful.
Both of you, what are you saying?
I married you expecting money. And now you're saying the company's going under. A wife who doesn't bring in a penny is useless. Get out.
When I told my college friends my mom was mixed, they all imagined her to be super pretty. It's embarrassing to introduce you, so quit being my mom.
When I discovered my company was going under, my husband and stepdaughter turned on me. The cruel words thrown at me by them began to break my heart. I had a lot to say, but given everything up till now, I just don't have the energy anymore. I get it. You want me to divorce you and leave this house, right?
That's right. You're smart. So it's good you understand quickly?
I don't care if you regret it. If my husband wants a divorce, I'll give him what he wants. I'll just quietly get divorced, and he's bound to deeply regret it. My name is Emma. My mom is German, and my dad is an American, making me half American. My parents live in the US, but I've been living in Germany for about 10 years due to my work. My dad is the CEO of a company in America that develops software and handles imports and sales. I came to Germany to work at the German branch of my dad's company. When I found out I was going to Germany, I, who have always loved German literature, literally jumped for joy and excitement. Some people might have thought that, being biracial, I would have been considered very beautiful and received a lot of attention when I arrived in Germany. However, that wasn't the case. I'm quite plain looking and not good at social interactions outside of work, so I think people found me hard to approach. During my school days, I used to sit alone in the corner of the classroom and leave as soon as classes ended, faster than anyone else. I am what you might call a gloomy person. Adapting to life in a new country didn't change who I was overnight, and I continued my loner ways even after arriving in Germany. Being alone is nothing new to me, so I've grown accustomed to it. Therefore, I never tried to forcibly expand my social connections in my private life. Rather, I gave up thinking it wasn't something I could do. Perhaps fate felt pity for me because at the age of 37, after 5 years in Germany, I had a fortunate encounter.
Wow, Emma. You work for a software development company. That's impressive. I work in IT too, but I've never heard of your company. Sorry for my ignorance.
No, it's okay. Our company doesn't deal with servers and networks, so it's not well known. Also, I'm not in development. I mainly handle imports and sales, so I'm not really anything special. The dart bar I frequented was popular with expatriates working in Germany. The atmosphere inside was friendly, and people were open to talking, even if it was their first meeting. I'm always alone, but sometimes I just want to have a conversation with someone. It was at a dart bar I frequented during such times that I met the man who would become my husband.
Don't you play dots, Emma?
I'm just here to drink, not play dots.
I'm usually just dragged here by a senior colleague from work, so I don't drink alcohol, nor do I play dots.
Office relationships can be quite a challenge, can't they? Daniel checked the time on his smartphone, then put down his drink on the counter. What, you're leaving already? It's only 7 p.m.
My daughter, a middle school student, will be home from her tutoring soon. I'm a single dad, so I need to get home and make dinner. It's a good excuse to get away when coworkers invite me out, isn't it? Nobody can complain about that.
His words, laced with humor, made me laugh. Seeing me laugh, Daniel smiled lightly and went off to make his excuse to his senior colleague for leaving. From that day on, whenever I went to the dart bar, I began to look for Daniel, and whenever he saw me, he always made a point to come over and talk.
So, Emma, you work at your dad's company. That's impressive.
Oh, not really. It might seem like a big company because we have branches overseas, but it's really not that big, just a mid-sized business. Despite being in a dart bar, neither of us played dots. We always stood at the end of the bar, enjoying our drinks and chatting. Each time we met, Daniel and I grew closer, and we began seeing in places other than the dart bar. It was a natural progression to start dating. I was thrilled with the romance that finally arrived when I was approaching 40. But I couldn't just revel in joy. To continue dating Daniel, I needed to build a relationship with his daughter, Lisa. She was 15 at the time. A middle school student, a period requiring special consideration. I was worried, but I soon realized my concerns were unnecessary.
So, Emma, you were in America until 5 years ago, right? It's cool that you can work so hard. Why are you even dating my dad?
You're praising Emma, but don't speak ill of me.
Right? It's not nice to speak ill of Daniel. Besides, I'm not that cool. I began eating dinner at Daniel's house with Lisa. The three of us jokingly enjoyed our meal together. An ordinary family dinner scene. I treasured that ordinariness more than anything. With a good relationship with Lisa, 2 years later, Daniel and I got married. Until then, everything went smoothly, but since it was an international marriage, things got a bit hectic afterward. Especially challenging was meeting each other's parents. I took Daniel and his parents to the US, where neither they nor Daniel spoke English well or understood much about the culture.
Wow, is this your father's company's brochure? It's all in English. I can understand a thing.
Well, this part here is the main product description.
What about the engagement gifts?
Things like weddings, funerals, and gifts for births and school admissions. Giving large sums of money like that isn't common in overseas cultures, so it's not necessary.
My mom and I, who both understand the languages and cultures of Germany and America, were very busy. But our being busy meant that Daniel and his parents were making an effort to understand my background and my parents. I felt a comfortable fatigue amidst the hustle and bustle. Once the wedding was over, I started living with Daniel and Lisa as a family of 3. I thought we were about to start a happy life together as a family of 3 in Germany, but gradually the situation began to look uncertain. A year after we got married, when Lisa became a high school student, Daniel made a suggestion to me.
My late work hours put too much burden on Lisa. So maybe one of us should be home more. Huh?
That might be true, but this conversation had been a recurring one whenever Daniel and I were alone in the living room. Due to the complexity of the decision, we had been putting off coming to a conclusion. Daniel seemed serious this time, as if saying it was time to make a decision. Seeing his expression, I wondered if we could delay the decision until next year when Lisa starts preparing for her college. Although perspectives are changing in Germany, it is still common for women to quit their jobs to handle household duties and childcare in these situations. It sounds like Daniel is suggesting that I quit my job or find a job that allows me to come home earlier. However, that's not the case in our household. That's why I'm struggling. So, Daniel, you mean I should keep working and you should find a job that lets you come home earlier, right?
Well, considering our situation, that makes sense. Your salary is higher, after all, and you're working at your dad's company. It wouldn't make sense to ask you to switch jobs, would it?
That's true if you only look at the situation. But are you okay with that, Daniel? You've been at your company for over 20 years, right?
If it's for Lisa, it's okay?
Unable to meet Daniel's earnest gaze, I looked away. I felt guilty about having Daniel quit the job he had been at for so long. However, Daniel seemed resolved. I felt embarrassed that I was still trying to put off giving an answer, not recognizing his determination. Okay, let's do that then. I accepted his proposal on the spot.
Did you both take your lunchboxes?
I've got mine. I wouldn't forget something like that.
Oh, sorry, I forgot mine. As Lisa hurried out the door, almost late, I rushed back to the kitchen to grab the lunchbox Daniel had prepared. Daniel quit his job and became a part-time house husband. With Daniel handling the household and looking after Lisa, I was able to focus on my work. Having Daniel at home more also allowed him to fully support Lisa, and she smoothly passed her college. I felt bad for having Daniel quit his job, but it might have been a good choice for our family. Grateful to Daniel, I packed the lunchbox he left on the kitchen table into my bag. However, 3 years into our marriage, the situation has significantly changed, and I am beginning to regret the decision for Daniel to become a house husband. I'm home. What's for dinner?
It's on the table, isn't it?
Instant cup noodles again?
Can't help it. Being a house husband is busy, you know. Besides, it looks like your salary went down again this month. Is your company doing okay?
The company? Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
With the salary slowly decreasing over the past 2 years, and significantly in the last 2 months, it's natural for me to worry. I quit my job after all. You need to work hard and earn. There's also Lisa's tuition to think about. The cup noodles are a way to save for emergencies. So just bear with it and eat.
Okay. Unable to respond further to Daniel, I poured hot water into the cup noodles while glancing at the 2 sets of washed dishes. Daniel, who had been kind during our first year of marriage, gradually changed his attitude from the second year, and by this 3rd year, dinner had become cup noodles. But Daniel wasn't the only one who had changed.
Hey, just because you came home early doesn't mean you should take a shower before me.
Oh, sorry.
Just stay quiet and say yes.
When I managed to get home early and thought to finish my shower early, Lisa came into the changing room and yelled at me suddenly. Lisa drove me out of the changing room, threw my clothes out into the hallway, and then I heard the sound of the bathroom door slamming shut. Unexpectedly kicked out and not yet fully dried off, I quietly returned to the changing room. It sounded like Lisa was in the bathroom, probably intending to change the bath water. Before Lisa came out, I hurriedly dried off, threw my bath towel in the laundry basket, and quietly left the changing room to get dressed in the hallway. I had become completely treated like an old lady by Lisa. Well, to 20-year-old Lisa, 42-year-old me might indeed be an old lady. Just a few years ago, she used to say I was cool, but now those days seem like a distant memory. With such harsh treatment at home, it would be normal for anyone to snap at Daniel and Lisa. However, they are family, and I don't want to exacerbate family relations by losing my temper. But that's just a front. The real reason is probably that I'm naturally introverted. In the current situation, it's clear that Daniel and Lisa have teamed up, making it 2 against 1. As an introvert, there's no way I can stand up to both of them. Fearing conflict and isolation, I continue to avoid the issues.
How's married life?
It's fine. Daniel takes care of the house, and Lisa's attending college properly. I forced a smile and lied to my parents. Once every few months, I catch up with my parents by a video call, and talking to them used to be one of my joys. However, now it's become a painful time of lying, as I can't share my troubles about Daniel and Lisa with them. If I were to confide in them, surely all my pent-up frustration and sadness would burst out uncontrollably. Moreover, since my parents are across the ocean, I can't rely on them easily, nor do I want to worry them given how far away they are. So I swallow back the complaints that reach my throat and shove them back down. I should yell at Daniel and Lisa. I should talk to my parents overseas about my troubles. Some might think it's easy, but being introverted, I just can't do it. I realize that not taking action and not explaining why my salary is decreasing are only fueling the fire. But being introverted isn't all bad. Sometimes by not taking action, problems resolve themselves. In this case, it leads to Daniel messing up on his own. One day, when I came home from work, as usual, there were cup noodles on the kitchen table. As I picked up the cup noodles and sighed, Daniel spoke up from behind me.
I'm the one who should be sighing.
What? Startled by his sudden approach, I flinched, and the seasonings in the cup noodles rattled like maracas. Oh, you're here. You startled me.
I heard from a former co-worker of mine that your company is pulling out. With your salary dropping these past 3 months, it looks really bad.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. I should have brought it up sooner. You see, with the way Daniel and Lisa have been acting lately, it's been hard to bring it up.
Talk? You're just going to tell me to work because your company is going under, right?
What? The company is going under? Well, that might be the case. But that's not what I wanted to discuss.
What's now? Are you finally kicking her out?
As I was trying to explain the reasons behind my decreasing salary to Daniel, Lisa, hearing our voices, came into the kitchen. She stood by Daniel as if it were the most natural thing, clearly ready to gang up on me 2 against 1.
Yeah, I told you before, didn't I? Her company's about to go under. Looks like it's actually happening.
Wow, then there's no point in staying in this house anymore.
Right. I even quit my job because of this.
Seriously, Dad is too pitiful.
As Daniel and Lisa continued their rapid-fire conversation, I couldn't find a moment to interject and could only listen to their dialogue. Even in such moments, my introverted nature kicks in and I feel pathetic about it. But by staying silent, they continue to say unbelievable things one after another.
I married you despite your looks because your parent was the CEO. But this is unacceptable now.
Sure, it's cool to grow up overseas and be a career woman, but that face doesn't help. If only she were beautiful.
Both of you, what are you saying? I managed to interject with a faint voice into their conversation. However, the words I mistook only accelerated their tirade.
I married you for the money. And now you're saying the company is gone. A wife who doesn't turn a penny should just leave.
When I tell my college friends my mom is biracial, they all imagine a supermodel. It's embarrassing to introduce you, so quit being my mom.
Their heartless words continued to shatter my spirit. I had a lot to say, but I no longer had the energy. Okay, you want me to divorce and leave this house. That's clear now.
That's right. You're quick to understand, which helps.
Dad quit his job to support your career and became a house husband. But you fail in your roles and now you're planning to rely on Dad because your job is gone. You're really the worst. No wonder Dad wants to leave you.
Lisa looked at me with genuine hatred, her expression demonic. Daniel smirked beside her. Seeing Daniel's expression, I felt a surge of anger. When was the last time I felt this angry? You'll regret this? I yelled at Daniel louder than I ever had in my life, slamming down the cup noodles I had been holding onto the kitchen table, then turned to pack my things and leave. If Daniel wants a divorce, I'll give him what he wants. I'll leave quietly and he will surely regret it deeply. Daniel and I divorced after that, which was complicated by our international marriage status. We mostly followed German law, avoiding any legal trouble. When we divorced, we split our savings accumulated over 5 years of marriage. The amount was $35,000 each. I didn't want to give Daniel any money, but it was the rule. I assumed most of this money would go towards Lisa's remaining 2 years of tuition, so I didn't fight it too hard. However, handing over the money made me realize just how much of a lost cause Daniel was. 3 months after the divorce, having lost my job, I returned to America. Although I had spent more time in America, having lived in Germany for a while still felt odd. Thinking I might visit Germany again someday, I suddenly received a video call from Lisa.
Mom, help.
What's wrong? Lisa's image was grainy on the computer, but her panicked expression was clear. I guessed Daniel was the cause, but the reality exceeded my expectations.
Dad deceived me. I'm so sorry for all the terrible things I said to you. I'm sorry.
Lisa kept apologizing, and it wasn't yet clear to me the full extent of what Daniel had done to her. I calmed Lisa down and decided to find out what had happened in the past 3 months.
Isn't there a tuition payment coming up? Dad said he won't pay it and that I should. He said it's fine if he does pay, but then I must repay him with interest once I start working.
Why? I left enough money for your tuition when we divorced?
He says it's his living expenses for the next 2 or 3 years. Also, he said since he raised me up to this point, once I graduate and start working, I should take care of him in return.
He expects you to replace me? That's impossible for you right out of college.
He said he specifically took me in for that reason. And if I don't fulfill my role, I'm just like Emma.
As I listened to Lisa, I unconsciously started tapping my foot. I noticed that my level of irritation had increased considerably.
Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't think Dad was that kind of person. So, when Dad badmouthed you, I started to dislike you too. Dad always called you ugly, and I joined in. But, when I think about it, you weren't that terrible a person.
I'm not angry, so calm down. Your words are getting confusing again. What exactly did you hear about me from Daniel?
He didn't really want to quit his job, but you aggressively made him quit, or after the company failed, you were the one who said now it's time for Dad to work.
I muted the call, let out a heavy sigh, and then quickly unmuted. When I was confronted with divorce, the smirking expression on Daniel's face and Lisa's words against me all seemed to follow Daniel's script, something I had somewhat sensed. This vague feeling turned into conviction when I heard Lisa's words that Daniel had brainwashed Lisa into believing I was a bad woman to facilitate our divorce. I also began to understand Daniel's foolish plan. He took in Lisa intending to live off her, but when I, the CEO's daughter, came into his life and we got married, he switched his plan to live off me instead. However, once he learned that my company was going to fail, he discarded me to revert to his original plan of depending on Lisa. While Lisa was wrong to believe Daniel's lies, the fact remains that she said hurtful things to me. However, Daniel likely started planting these negative ideas about me when Lisa was about a high school senior. At that age, she was still very much a child. Growing up in a single-father household, it's understandable that Lisa would believe Daniel. I know Lisa as the kind and cheerful person she was before she was manipulated. Thus, Lisa, like me, is also a victim of Daniel. Anger welled up in me again towards Daniel for deceiving Lisa and causing her so much pain. If your misunderstanding about me is cleared up, that's good enough. It seems like you're reflecting on your actions, so I'll forgive you. Don't worry, I'll help you, Lisa. After ending the video call, I felt relieved thinking the old, kind Lisa was coming back. And soon, I noticed that my nervous tapping had stopped. But my anger towards Daniel hadn't dissipated. He will realize his mistake soon enough. Daniel is bound to face significant regret, and I look forward to that moment. 3 months after Lisa reached out for help, I got a call from Daniel.
What the heck? How come you have so much money?
What are you talking about? I understood what Daniel meant, but wanting to see his panicked face as much as possible, I pretended not to know. Daniel seemed really flustered, leaning forward so close that his face filled up my computer screen. His expression was enough, and he threw a bunch of words at me through a video call.
Lisa suddenly moved out. She couldn't possibly have that kind of money. Then I asked Lisa, and she said you were paying for her tuition and rent. Where did you get such money after the company went under and you fled back to America? Is it your dad? Is he the one giving you the money?
Don't be rude. Unlike some people, I don't mooch off my family. I'm actually working and earning my own money, which I send to Lisa, so I don't see why I get any complaints from you.
Why do you have that kind of money? Weren't you struggling with work just like me after your company went under?
The whole company going under and Dad's company doing poorly were misunderstandings to begin with.
What do you mean? The company in Germany is gone, right?
The company didn't fail because of bad management, but rather it was a strategic decision to relocate to another country considering the economic situation and future prospects in Germany.
That means
it was simply a decision to cut ties with the business in Germany. As we downsized, it was natural for the work and consequently the pay to decrease since we had an incentive system. While other employees received various compensations, I had a big new job lined up and felt my base salary was sufficient. Also, it was originally my dad's company, so I didn't bother with much compensation. That's why my salary decreased gradually.
Why didn't you tell me that?
To explain that, I'd have to start with my current job. Remember I mentioned I had a big new job lined up? That's to become the CEO of my dad's company.
The CEO, as in the president?
Daniel was so shocked that he slammed the desk and stood up, moving out of the camera's view, leaving only his midsection visible on my screen. After a few seconds, he slumped back down, his detestable face returning to the screen. To twist the knife a bit, I decided to get a little nasty. It's a bit different, but yet something like a president. Right now, I'm just a candidate, working my way up. Eventually, I'll likely become the CEO, and by then, my annual salary could be around $13 million.
Annual salary will be $13 million. Don't lie. Even $1 million is an insane amount of money?
Yes, in Germany, hardly any people earn $13 million a year. But abroad, it's not that unusual.
What? Wasn't Germany supposed to be a leading country in the world?
Hearing about the $13 million salary, Daniel seemed completely deflated. He couldn't even lift his head anymore, and all my screen showed was the top of his head. As Daniel says, earning an annual income of $1 million in Germany would certainly be considered wealthy. However, in Germany, households with assets over $5 million are considered ultra-wealthy, and apparently they make up only about 2.4% of the population. With assets of $5 million, that's the figure. Therefore, my annual income of $13 million is an astonishing figure in Germany. However, when considering this on a global scale, it may not seem like such an extraordinary number. It appears that the salary of CEOs of major companies in Germany is 2.6 times less than in the United States, where the median annual income of top American company CEOs is over $23 million. Knowing that there are individuals earning $23 million annually, my own annual income of $13 million suddenly seems less impressive.
An annual income of $13 million. Why did you keep such an important thing a secret?
If I become the CEO candidate at my dad's company, that means I have to move here, right? Bringing you and Lisa to America isn't something I can just casually discuss, so of course I'd wait for the right timing, wouldn't I? But you assumed I was out of a job and bankrupt, and you treated me terribly, right? How could I discuss this with someone who thought that way? In the end, you accused me of relying on my money, so how could I possibly tell you anything?
No way. Did I really let go of an annual income of $13 million?
Daniel tried to lift his head, but he leaned back so far it looked like he was staring at the sky. Now, only his neck and chin were visible on my screen. I pushed him further, knowing this would upset him. Never mind about me, are you okay?
What?
I heard from Lisa, your job search isn't going well, right? A 5-year gap in the fast-moving IT industry is critical, huh? I heard you were crying to Lisa for help. You have few choices now, so even if it's a shady company, you have to work there?
That's right. I come home on the last train every day. But the pay is barely more than what a new employee makes. At this rate, I can't save for retirement. and my physical and mental health won't last. Hey, you make $13 million a year. Help me out like you do for Lisa?
Why should I help you? Besides, I don't make $13 million yet.
But as the CEO candidate, you must be earning a lot, right? That's why you can afford Lisa's tuition and rent.
Well, yes, but I have no intention of helping you. Keep slurping your cup noodles.
Why would you say that?
Lisa told me when she went home to pick up her things, she saw the trash can filled with cup noodle containers. You're so exhausted from working, you can't even cook, huh? It's a shame. If you had a family, someone might have cooked for you.
Hey, don't leave me alone. At least convince Lisa not to abandon me.
I have to get back to work now, so I'm going to hang up.
Wait, it's already night here. Don't lie and hang up on me.
I ended the call without saying another word. It might be about 7 p.m. in Germany, but where I am, it's just past 1 p.m. Daniel must be really desperate not to think of the time difference. Satisfied with seeing Daniel distressed and upset, I stretched and then returned to my work. Daniel apparently continued to work at the company. However, at 46 and with a 5-year gap, he soon reached his limits. He quit the company and started looking for a new job. But his age and the gap, along with quitting his previous company within a year, made his job search even more difficult. Eventually, realizing he couldn't find a job in the IT industry that met his expectations, he took a job at a supermarket, leveraging his part-time experience. This job is tough too. At 46, it's hard to learn new skills, and he's ridiculed by the younger part-time workers. Also, the supermarket job starts early in the morning and requires physical effort. Daniel's physical and mental health are in shambles. But if he quits this job, his next job search will be even tougher. So, Daniel continues to struggle daily, still slurping cup noodles at home. If he had a family, maybe he'd have some support, but I'm divorced, and Lisa moved out with my financial support. Obviously, Lisa plans to cut ties with him, so unless Daniel finds a new wife, he will likely be alone forever. Given his current situation, I don't see a next time for him, so he'll have to manage on his own. Lisa and I occasionally video call. She wants to get into software or app development after graduating college and is currently studying hard. I'm working hard in my dad's company, aiming to become the CEO. The system here is different from Germany's, and I'm facing various challenges. It's tough, but I make it a point to visit Germany about once a year to stay motivated. Visiting Germany is mainly to see Lisa, but I also love literature, so I want to visit places related to it. I've arranged to stay at Lisa's place during my visits. Next month will be my first sleepover at Lisa's place. Thinking about my trip to Germany next month, I'm motivated to work hard today